Welcome to CISO Talks. Today we're joined by Kevin Fielder. He's Chief Information Security Officer over at Just Eat. Obviously there's a lot going on around COVID-19 and that's going to change a lot of things. In terms of, the security team, what are the impacts that this is going to have if everyone has to work from home, both from the perspective of managing the security within the organisation, but also the types of threats that are going to evolve from this? What do you think about this?
I guess it makes it complex, right? So, what is fairly distributed becomes even more distributed.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot more devices on, where people work mostly office, a lot more devices spending a lot more time out of the office on untrusted networks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you get much more around, I guess, how you manage, from a security standpoint, how you manage devices remotely, how you manage connectivity remotely, how you make sure that's all secure, how you make sure, all the kind of basics like vulnerability management, patching up, dateness of laptops, phones, those sort of things comes. Depends how you set up. If you're kind of set up with a bunch of cloud services, it's maybe not that much of a challenge. If you're kind of mostly on-prem, it's going to be more of a challenge. And then there's a lot of the kind of softer stuff around just people working from home or working more remotely in terms of are those who aren't used to working remotely used to kind of being aware of who's looking at their screen and being a bit more careful about locking things, not leaving things in cars, all the kind of general kind of
Right.
kind of being out on the road or out and about becomes paramount for everyone rather than people who are used to it. So I think there's kind of a bit of an education piece there around kind of just general safe working.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of kind of non-security stuff as well, right? Just kind of how people cope with being potentially more isolated or having less socialised being in the office and those sort of things. There's a lot of kind of stuff around that in terms of how we manage comms and how you kind of have a company maybe using work channels for less work comms as well and make it to people have the kind of water cooler informal chats, but possibly on a medium that is recorded. So how do you say you use Slack or whatever your chatting of choice? If you're promoting more kind of non-work chats to enable that kind of cohesiveness, how do you kind of manage the maybe more banter that maybe veer off into kind of water cooler chats and those kind of that may not be necessarily appropriate for being on a written medium, that sort of thing. So
Right,
how you manage comms and improve comms and things. From a security team perspective, I think certainly unless you're a very one location team, I don't know there's a huge change. So my team, for example, is across 3 main sites with a bunch of home and some almost purely remote working already. So for us, it's not a huge thing. I think it's going to be, again, it's just over communicate, make sure people are involved. And we're having chats about, do we have things like virtual coffee breaks and virtual lunch breaks and things. So when you normally have coffee with someone, you have a video chat and a coffee from your house or wherever you are, just kind of keep that team cohesion going.
That's a really good idea. That I've not heard of that before.
Yeah, I think if you're a distributed team already, it's less of a challenge than if you're not. So these things are all going to be kind of relative, aren't they? If you're an organisation that's already very distributed, already has a lot of home working, is cloud-based, most people have laptops, etc., it's not as big a cultural change as if you're a mostly desktop, on-prem, people in the office most days kind of org. So I think, organisations will vary how much it impacts them or not.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, certainly when we operate in 3 different countries, and I think that sometimes it's those throwaway moments you get that happen at the most random moments that you couldn't have planned in a meeting, that sometimes lead to the most amount of innovation. And I think that or could actually be the catalyst for spotting something that's actually quite a major issue that you didn't really know about. And it's just making sure you can kind of keep that type of that casual communication up if you're moving to this model where you're not all in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I was reading about kind of one of the studies of how bad open offices are and things, and I think it was kind of MIT in the 70s, early 80s, places like that. They had this really distributed office that they have space there, obviously, but they have kind of spaces where people get together and have water cooler chats. They also have private offices when you get your head down. And that's kind of optimal. And it's we do lose the kind of water cooler chat, bump into someone. I mean, personally, when I quite often work from our reception, so we've got some really nice space in our reception. And I'll quite often go and sit there and do some work because everyone walks past there.
That's right.
So if I want to catch someone or have a little chat or, I need to speak to you, so I'll often spend a few hours a day working on my laptop from our reception just to bump into people and have those kind of chats. So keeping that going will be
Yeah, it's really good. And I suppose that's particularly relevant for someone where you really have to be bringing together and keeping that level of communication across multiple different teams. It isn't just about communicating with one team. You're trying to bring it all together in a way, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, I guess, where, the soft bit of security, right?
Yeah.
I guess that seeing how we keep that going in terms of the check people, how are things, what are you concerned about, what are the little kind of, like you say, coffee chats, water cooler chats,
That's it.
how do we keep that going where I can continue to myself and my team can continue to have a really good influence on the organisation
Right.
in the ways rather than through kind of formal process and policy, I think.